and welcome back to Feel Learns English. I'm Shafi, and I'll be your host today. If you're new to this channel, I'm really happy to have you here. On this channel, we upload English learning videos regularly to help you improve your speaking, listening, and overall fluency step by step. Our goal is to make English feel clear, natural, and usable in your real life, not just something you study from books. In today's masterclass, you're going to work on several important skills at the same time. You will improve your listening skills, expand your vocabulary, refine your sentence structure, and practice the kind of advanced English that helps you move closer to the C1 level. Today's lesson is especially focused on building vocabulary that sounds natural, confident, and fluent in daily life. We'll look at expressions, phrases, and sentence patterns that advanced English speakers use automatically, often without even thinking about them. These are the kinds of words and structures that make your English sound smooth and mature. Whether you are having casual conversations, writing professional or formal messages, or explaining complex ideas, advanced vocabulary plays a very important role. It helps you express your thoughts clearly, accurately, and confidently. When you use the right words in the right situation, people understand you better and you feel more comfortable speaking. By the end of this video, you will not only understand how to use advanced vocabulary in different contexts, but you will also practice it with me step by step. This way, the words stay in your memory and slowly become part of your own natural speech. Before we begin, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon so you don't miss future lessons. If you can, take a moment to relax, sit comfortably, and maybe grab a pen and paper to write down new words and phrases as we practice them together. Now, let's begin our journey towards C1 fluency. When we talk about reaching the C1 level, it's important to understand one thing. It's not just about memorizing difficult words from a dictionary. True advanced English is about knowing how to use words naturally, confidently, and in the right context. Let me give you a simple example. If you say, "I am very tired," people understand you. But if you say, "I am completely exhausted," the meaning is stronger, clearer, and more natural at a higher level of English. Both sentences mean something similar, but the second one sounds more advanced and more expressive. As you listen, I want you to shadow me. This means you repeat after me slowly and clearly. Shadowing helps you improve pronunciation, rhythm, and natural usage. Let's try it together. I am very tired. Now repeat after me. I am completely exhausted. Good. Do you feel the difference? At the C1 level, small changes like this make your English sound richer, more precise, and more confident. Here's another example. Instead of saying, "The movie was very good," you can say, "The movie was absolutely brilliant." Instead of saying, "She is very smart," you can say, "She is remarkably intelligent." Notice how these stronger adjectives lift your English to a higher standard. This is not about showing off. It's about having more variety, accuracy, and control in how you express yourself. Now let's practice with a short exercise. Imagine you are talking about a trip you recently took. A basic sentence might be, "The place was very beautiful." At the C1 level, you could say, "The place was breathtakingly beautiful." Repeat after me slowly. The place was breathtakingly beautiful. Excellent. Can you feel how the sentence creates a stronger image in the listener's mind? This is what advanced vocabulary does. At this level, fluency also means being able to express the same idea in different ways. For example, instead of only saying, "I don't know," you can say, "I'm not entirely sure," or "I can't say with certainty." These alternatives sound more advanced and are also more polite and professional, especially in formal or academic situations. Let's practice together. Repeat after me, "I'm not entirely sure." Again, "I can't say with certainty." Now imagine a real situation. Someone at work or school asks you a difficult question. Instead of feeling nervous or staying silent, these phrases help you respond calmly and naturally. Finally, we need to talk about connectors, because at the C1 level, connecting ideas smoothly is a sign of true fluency. Words like moreover, nevertheless, consequently, and on the other hand help your speech and writing flow like a native speaker's. For example, I was tired. Nevertheless, I finished the project on time. Or, she studied hard. Consequently, she passed with excellent marks. Now repeat after me slowly. I was tired. Nevertheless, I finished the project on time. She studied hard. Consequently, she passed with excellent marks. These are the kinds of sentences that will help you sound confident, clear, and advanced in both speaking and writing as you move towards C1 fluency. As we continue, I want you to start imagining real-life conversations where these words and expressions could naturally appear. Think about yourself in different situations. You might be in a job interview, taking part in a university discussion, or simply chatting with friends. These are the moments where advanced vocabulary really matters. Using advanced English naturally in these situations is what builds real confidence. This is also what helps you move from intermediate English to advanced English. It's not enough to know the words. You need to feel comfortable using them when you speak. Now let's practice together. Try talking about your weekend using one advanced connector. For example, I wanted to stay at home. On the other hand, my friends convinced me to go out. Repeat this sentence after me slowly. Good. Now, create your own version in your mind. Change the situation if you like, but keep the connector. Then say it out loud. This is how you practice advanced English properly. You take a simple idea and raise the level of your language by adding richer vocabulary and smoother connections. Remember, learning advanced English is not about rushing. It's about practicing slowly, repeating often, and allowing new words and sentence patterns to become part of your natural speech. That's why in this masterclass, we go step by step. We build vocabulary carefully, practice pronunciation clearly, and use examples from daily life that you can apply immediately in real conversations. One thing that truly separates C1 level speakers from lower levels is their ability to choose the right word for the right situation. It's not just about knowing many words. It's about precision. For example, instead of saying, he said something, an advanced speaker might say, he remarked, he commented, or he pointed out. Each of these verbs has a slightly different meaning, and this small difference changes the tone and nuance of the sentence. This is what gives your English a polished and advanced feel. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. He remarked that the meeting was too long. Now another one. He commented on the design of the presentation. And one more. He pointed out a mistake in the report. Do you notice how each sentence feels a little different? This is vocabulary in action. This is the art of selecting the exact word to express exactly what you mean. Another important area at the C1 level is mastering idiomatic expressions. Native speakers use idioms so naturally that their conversations sound more colorful, relaxed, and alive. For example, instead of saying, I'm very nervous, you can say, I have butterflies in my stomach. Instead of saying, it was easy, you can say, it was a piece of cake. Instead of saying, stop wasting time, you can say, stop beating around the bush. Let's practice these together. Repeat after me. I have butterflies in my stomach. It was a piece of cake. Stop beating around the bush. Excellent. These are expressions you can start using in your daily conversations right away. Imagine telling a friend before an exam, I have butterflies in my stomach. That single sentence immediately makes your English sound more natural and advanced. Now let's move on to advanced ways of agreeing and disagreeing. At lower levels, learners often say, I agree or I don't agree. These are correct, but they are limited. At the C1 level, you can express your opinion in a more polite, confident, and flexible way. Instead of I agree, you can say, I couldn't agree more. That's absolutely true. I see your point, and I share the same opinion. Instead of I don't agree, you can say, I'm afraid I can't share that view. That's not quite how I see it. I beg to differ. Let's practice some of these together. Repeat after me, I couldn't agree more. That's absolutely true. I beg to differ. That's not quite how I see it. Great. Now imagine you are in a classroom discussion or at work. You need to respond politely but clearly. These phrases allow you to express yourself without sounding too direct or too simple. Finally, fluency at the advanced level also depends on how you tell stories. C1 speakers don't just report events. They add detail, description, and emotion. Let's look at a simple sentence. I went to the park yesterday. At the C1 level, you might say, yesterday, I spent a quiet afternoon at the park, soaking in the fresh air and observing families enjoying the sunshine. Do you notice the difference? The second sentence paints a picture. It gives the listener something to imagine. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. Yesterday, I spent a quiet afternoon at the park, soaking in the fresh air and observing families enjoying the sunshine. Excellent. Now think about a simple daily activity, like cooking dinner, going shopping, or meeting a friend. Try to expand your sentence by adding extra details, descriptive words, or even emotions. This is how you grow from B2 to C1 by making your language more vivid, expressive, and natural. We should also spend time working on transitions because advanced speakers use them constantly to guide the listener. Transitions help your ideas flow in a clear and logical way so the person listening never feels lost. For example, phrases like to begin with, in addition, as a result, in contrast, and on the whole are very common at higher levels of English. These small expressions make your speech sound more organized, structured, and smooth. Let's repeat some of them together slowly, to begin with. In addition. As a result. On the whole. Very good. Next time you talk about your day or share your opinion, try to include 1 or 2 transitions. This simple habit will immediately make your English sound more natural and advanced. Now, here's a short practice exercise. Imagine you are describing your morning routine. A very basic version might be, I woke up. I ate breakfast. I went to work. This is correct, but it sounds simple. An advanced version could be, to begin with, I woke up early to prepare for the day. In addition, I had a healthy breakfast, which gave me energy. As a result, I felt productive and ready to face the tasks at work. Repeat this after me slowly, and notice how the transitions guide the story smoothly from one idea to the next. At the C1 level, your vocabulary should also help you express emotions and opinions with subtlety. Instead of simply saying, I like it, you can use more refined expressions such as, I find it fascinating. I really appreciate it. I'm genuinely impressed. And instead of saying, I don't like it, you can say, it doesn't really appeal to me. I'm not particularly fond of it. These softer and more nuanced expressions are a clear sign of advanced communication. Let's practice together. Repeat after me, I find it fascinating. I really appreciate it. It doesn't really appeal to me. I'm not particularly fond of it. Excellent. These phrases will help you sound more natural, more polite, and more confident in everyday conversations. Remember, practice is everything. To truly internalize advanced vocabulary, you need to use it actively. So here's a small challenge for you today. When you talk to someone, try replacing one simple word or phrase with a more advanced alternative from this lesson. For example, instead of saying, very good, say outstanding. Instead of saying, I don't know, say, I can't say with certainty. Each time you do this, you are building your C1 English brick by brick. Another important aspect of advanced English is how you manage emphasis. At the C1 level, you don't need to rely on words like very or really all the time. Instead, you use more precise and powerful vocabulary. For example, instead of very hungry, say starving. Instead of really cold, say freezing. Instead of very big, say enormous or gigantic. Let's practice together. Repeat after me, I'm starving. It's freezing outside. The house was enormous. Perfect. Now think of a sentence you often use, such as, I'm very happy. At a C1 level, you could say, I'm delighted. I'm overjoyed. I'm thrilled. Each of these words expresses a slightly different shade of emotion, which makes your English richer and more expressive. Here's a small exercise. Imagine you're describing your weekend to a friend. Instead of saying, the concert was very good, try saying, the concert was phenomenal. Instead of saying, the restaurant was very bad, try saying, the restaurant was dreadful. By practicing like this, you train your brain to naturally choose stronger vocabulary instead of simple words. Another important step toward advanced fluency is mastering collocations, which are words that naturally go together. For example, we say make a decision, not do a decision. We say strong coffee, not powerful coffee. And we say heavy rain, not big rain. These natural word combinations are what make your English sound fluent and native-like. Let's practice some common collocations together. Repeat after me. Make progress. Catch a bus. Break the news. Keep a promise. Pay attention. Run a business. Excellent. Notice how natural these expressions feel. At the C1 level, learning collocations is often more important than memorizing single words, because collocations show you how vocabulary is actually used in real life. Now let's build a short practice story using collocations. Listen carefully, then repeat after me slowly. Yesterday, I made a decision to run a small business online. In the morning, I caught a bus into town to buy supplies. On the way, my friend called me to break the news that she was moving abroad. I promised to keep in touch, and I paid attention to her every word. By the end of the day, I felt that I had made real progress. Excellent. This is a natural, fluent story filled with useful collocations that you can use in your own conversations. Finally, at the C1 level, you also need to master hedging language. Hedging means softening your statements so you sound more polite, professional, and balanced. For example, instead of saying, this is wrong, you can say, I'm not sure that's entirely correct. Instead of saying, you are late, you could say, it seems you've arrived a bit later than expected. This kind of language is very common in academic settings, business communication, and even friendly discussions because it shows respect and emotional intelligence. Now let's practice some hedging phrases together. Now repeat after me slowly. I'm not entirely sure. It seems that. It appears to be. From my perspective. As far as I can tell. These phrases help you express opinions and ideas without sounding too direct or too blunt. This is a highly useful skill, especially in professional, academic, or international settings where politeness and balance can make a big difference. Another important tool for advanced speakers is mastering modal verbs for speculation and deduction. These help you show how certain or uncertain you are about something. For example, he must be tired means you are almost sure. He might be tired means it is possible. He can't be tired means you believe it is impossible. These small changes make your English far more flexible and nuanced. Let's practice this in daily life contexts. Repeat after me. She must be at work. The lights are on. He might be busy. He hasn't answered his phone. That can't be true. I saw it with my own eyes. Perfect. By practicing modal verbs like this, you train yourself to express certainty, possibility, and impossibility, which is a key skill at the C1 level. Now let's move on to discourse markers. These are phrases we use to organize our ideas and sound natural and fluent in conversation. For example, frankly speaking, between you and me, if I'm honest, to be fair, and in my opinion. These expressions make your English sound smooth and connected, just like native-level speech. Let's try some together. Repeat after me. Frankly speaking, I don't think that's the best idea. Between you and me, I was a little nervous before the meeting. To be fair, the movie wasn't as bad as people said. Excellent. These small touches add personality and flow to your speech, and they are a strong signal of advanced fluency. Now, let's bring everything together with a longer practice exercise. Imagine you're talking about a challenge you faced recently and you want to sound confident and advanced. Repeat after me slowly. Frankly speaking, last week was exhausting. I was absolutely overwhelmed with work. Nevertheless, I managed to make progress and complete my tasks on time. It seems that my colleagues appreciated my efforts, and I couldn't agree more that teamwork made the difference. On the whole, it was a challenging week, but I feel delighted with what we achieved. Wonderful. Notice how this short story combines strong vocabulary, connectors, collocations, modal verbs, and hedging language. That combination is exactly how you move towards C1 fluency. At the C1 level, one of the most valuable skills you can develop is the ability to rephrase. Rephrasing means expressing the same idea in different ways depending on the situation. This shows flexibility and control. For example, if someone asks, "Do you understand?" At a basic level, you might say, "Yes, I understand." At the C1 level, you could say, "Yes, I follow your point." "Yes, I get what you mean." "Yes, that makes sense to me." Each option expresses understanding, but with a different tone, formal, casual, or neutral. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. I follow your point. I get what you mean. That makes sense to me. Good. Now imagine a friend is explaining a new app to you. Instead of saying, "I understand," try one of these alternatives. This flexibility is what makes your English sound advanced and natural. Another important dimension of C1 fluency is sophistication in expressing opinions. At lower levels, learners often repeat, "I think," again and again. At the C1 level, you can vary your language. For example, in my view, from my perspective, as far as I'm concerned, if you ask me, and the way I see it. These expressions make your English richer and help you avoid repetition. Let's practice. Repeat after me. In my view, this approach is more effective. From my perspective, we should try something different. As far as I'm concerned, learning English daily is the best strategy. If you ask me, the book was better than the movie. The way I see it, practice leads to progress. Excellent. You now have 5 strong alternatives too, I think. Finally, we also need to focus on advanced time expressions because these often challenge learners. Instead of only saying yesterday or last week, you can use expressions like the other day, in the meantime, at the end of the day, and in the long run. These phrases are extremely common among native speakers and give your English a more authentic rhythm and flow. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. I met her the other day. In the meantime, I'll keep working on this project. At the end of the day, we all want to be happy. In the long run, practice always pays off. Perfect. Now, try to use one of these expressions the next time you tell a story about your daily life. These time expressions help your English sound more natural and well-organized. At the C1 level, fluency also depends on understanding the difference between formal and informal language, which we call register. Advanced speakers know how to change their language depending on the situation. For example, in a casual conversation with a friend, you might say, "Can you help me out?" But in a professional meeting or when speaking to your boss, you might say, "Would you be able to assist me with this?" Both sentences mean the same thing, but the second one is more formal and polite. Being able to move smoothly between these registers shows advanced control of English. Let's practice this together. Repeat after me. Can you help me out? Now repeat. Would you be able to assist me with this? Great. Now imagine two situations. One is a conversation with a close friend. The other is a conversation with your manager. Which sentence would you use in each case? This awareness of context is what makes your English sound appropriate, professional, and sophisticated. Another crucial area at the C1 level is building range with phrasal verbs and their more formal equivalents. For example, instead of put off, you can say postpone. Instead of come up with, you can say devise. Instead of give up, you can say surrender. Instead of find out, you can say discover. Phrasal verbs are very common in spoken English, while single-word alternatives are often used in academic or professional settings. A C1 learner can move comfortably between both styles. Let's practice. Repeat after me. We had to put off the meeting. We had to postpone the meeting. She came up with a new idea. She devised a new idea. He gave up the fight. He surrendered the fight. Did you find out the answer? Did you discover the answer? Wonderful. Notice how each version feels slightly different depending on the context, but both are correct. This flexibility is exactly what you want at this stage. It's also important to practice storytelling with advanced connectors. Imagine you are describing a trip. At a basic level, you might say, "I went to Paris. I saw the Eiffel Tower. I took photos. I ate food." At the C1 level, you might say, "Last summer, I had the opportunity to visit Paris, and needless to say, it was unforgettable. Not only did I see the Eiffel Tower, but I also explored hidden streets and charming cafes. Moreover, I captured dozens of photographs to keep as memories. And to top it all off, the food was absolutely exquisite." Do you hear the difference? The second version flows better, keeps the listener interested, and paints a clear picture. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. Last summer, I had the opportunity to visit Paris, and needless to say, it was unforgettable. Not only did I see the Eiffel Tower, but I also explored hidden streets and charming cafes. Moreover, I captured dozens of photographs to keep as memories. And to top it all off, the food was absolutely exquisite. Excellent. That's storytelling at an advanced level. Now let's move on to another key element of C1 English, expressing cause and effect. Instead of always using because, you can use due to, owing to, as a result of, or thanks to. Instead of only using so, you can say therefore, thus, consequently, or hence. These connectors make your English sound more academic, professional, and polished. Let's practice. Repeat after me. Due to the heavy rain, the match was cancelled. Owing to his dedication, he succeeded in his exams. As a result of the delay, the meeting was postponed. Thanks to her support, I felt more confident. Now with so alternatives, the team worked hard. Therefore, they achieved success. The evidence was clear. Thus, the case was closed. She didn't study. Consequently, she failed. He was the eldest. Hence, he took responsibility. Very good. These expressions are especially useful in academic essays, presentations, debates, and formal writing. Now, let's bring everything together in one longer advanced paragraph. Repeat after me slowly. In the long run, learning English every day will bring you closer to fluency. Owing to consistent practice, your confidence will steadily grow. Moreover, as a result of applying advanced vocabulary, you will begin to sound more natural and precise. At the end of the day, language is about connection. And needless to say, the more variety you have, the more deeply you can connect with people. Therefore, never stop challenging yourself, because every word you learn builds another step toward mastery. Excellent. That is advanced fluency in action. Finally, at the C1 level, you also need to know how to emphasize contrast in your speech. Native speakers do this naturally, and it makes conversations more dynamic and engaging. Instead of only using but, you can use however, nevertheless, nonetheless, even so, or having said that. Each of these expressions adds depth and sophistication to your English. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. I was tired. However, I kept working until midnight. It was raining. Nevertheless, we went for a walk. She was nervous. Even so, she gave an excellent presentation. Nevertheless, she delivered a great presentation. The plan was risky. Even so, they decided to try it. I usually prefer tea. Having said that, I don't mind a cup of coffee sometimes. Excellent. These expressions are not only useful for writing, but also very powerful in spoken English. Using them correctly shows that you can handle subtlety and contrast in communication, which is a key feature of advanced fluency. Another area where C1 learners really stand out is in expressing probability and possibility with nuance. Instead of always saying maybe, advanced speakers use a wider range of expressions to show different levels of certainty. For example, you can say, it's likely, it's probable, there's a good chance, it's doubtful, it's highly unlikely. These expressions allow you to sound more precise in academic, professional, and everyday conversations. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. It's likely that he'll arrive late. There's a good chance she'll win the competition. It's doubtful that they'll finish on time. It's highly unlikely that the store will be open now. Very good. Now imagine you are predicting tomorrow's weather. Instead of saying, maybe it will rain, you could say, it's likely to rain tomorrow. This small change immediately makes your English sound more confident and advanced. Next, let's explore advanced ways of expressing cause and purpose. Instead of always using so that, you can use more formal and flexible structures such as, in order to, with the aim of, for the purpose of, so as to. These structures help you build longer, richer, and more natural sentences. Repeat after me slowly. I studied hard in order to pass the exam. She joined the club with the aim of meeting new people. They organized the event for the purpose of raising funds. He spoke slowly so as to be understood clearly. Excellent. These alternatives give you more ways to express intention in both speaking and writing. Another powerful step toward advanced fluency is mastering synonyms with subtle differences in tone. Take the word important. Instead of repeating important, you can choose more precise alternatives such as crucial, essential, vital, significant, and fundamental. Each word adds a slightly different shade of meaning. For example, it is crucial to arrive on time. Exercise is essential for good health. Water is vital for survival. Education plays a significant role in society. Honesty is a fundamental value. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. It is crucial to arrive on time. Exercise is essential for good health. Water is vital for survival. Education plays a significant role in society. Honesty is a fundamental value. Excellent. With these synonyms, you now have 5 strong alternatives that help you avoid repetition and sound more advanced. At the C1 level, your ability to describe subtle feelings and emotions also becomes very important. Instead of simply saying, I'm happy, you can say, I'm content. I'm pleased. I'm cheerful. I'm delighted. I'm thrilled. And instead of saying, I'm sad, you can say, I'm upset. I'm downhearted. I'm sorrowful. I'm devastated. These words add emotional depth and color to your speech. Let's shadow these together. Repeat after me. I'm content with my progress. I'm cheerful today. I'm delighted to see you again. I'm thrilled about the news. I'm upset about the result. I'm devastated after hearing what happened. Great. Now think about your own life and choose one advanced emotion word to describe how you feel today. This kind of personal connection helps new vocabulary stay in your memory. Let's also practice advanced storytelling using comparison and contrast. At a basic level, you might say, "My town is big." At the C1 level, you could say, "Compared to nearby towns, my city is significantly larger and more vibrant, although it can sometimes feel overcrowded." Notice how this sentence describes, compares, contrasts, and adds detail at the same time. Repeat after me slowly. Compared to nearby towns, my city is significantly larger and more vibrant, although it can sometimes feel overcrowded. Excellent. Now take a simple sentence from your own life and expand it using a comparison or contrast. This is how you build advanced fluency step by step. Another area to develop is expressing degrees of opinion. At lower levels, learners often say, "I agree" or "I don't agree." At the C1 level, you can be much more precise. For example, "I agree to a certain extent." "I agree up to a point." "I generally agree." "I strongly disagree." "I absolutely support that idea." These expressions show that you can handle complexity in discussions instead of giving simple yes or no answers. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. I agree to a certain extent. I generally agree. I strongly disagree. I absolutely support that idea. Excellent. Imagine you are in a classroom discussion or a work meeting. Using these phrases will make your English sound more thoughtful, confident, and advanced. Now, let's finish this section with a longer C1 level practice paragraph you can shadow. Repeat after me slowly. In my view, developing advanced vocabulary is crucial for reaching C1 fluency. Compared to beginners, advanced learners can express subtle emotions, complex opinions, and detailed stories much more clearly. Nevertheless, this level does not happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and constant practice. As far as I'm concerned, the best way to reach this level is by using new words every day in order to make them part of your natural speech. Reading, listening, speaking, and repeating regularly help these words feel familiar and comfortable. At the end of the day, fluency is not only about being accurate. It is also about flexibility, confidence, and flow. Wonderful. This is exactly how your English becomes stronger day by day. At the C1 level, one of the biggest changes you will notice is your ability to sound persuasive. Persuasive language is not just useful in debates or formal discussions. You use it in daily life when you want to convince someone, make a suggestion, or share your opinion clearly. Instead of simply saying, "I think this is good," you can say, "There are several reasons why this approach is effective." Or, "The evidence strongly suggests that this method works better." These expressions show confidence, structure, and logical thinking. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. There are several reasons why this approach is effective. The evidence strongly suggests that this method works better. It's clear that the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. I firmly believe that consistent practice leads to fluency. Great. Now imagine you are in a meeting or having a casual discussion with friends. These expressions help your ideas sound strong without sounding aggressive or rude. Another sign of advanced fluency is the ability to speculate about the past, present, or future. Instead of only making direct statements, you can use advanced modal verbs such as might have, could have, should have, and would have. For example, he might have forgotten to call. They could have arrived earlier. I should have prepared better. She would have helped if she had known. These forms help you talk about possibilities, regrets, and imagined situations, which is a key feature of advanced communication. Let's practice carefully. Repeat after me. He might have forgotten to call. They could have arrived earlier. I should have prepared better. She would have helped if she had known. Excellent. Now think about one situation from your own past and describe it using one of these forms. This reflection helps your grammar feel more natural and automatic. Another important C1 skill is paraphrasing. This means saying the same idea in different ways. This is very useful in exams, presentations, and real conversations. For example, instead of saying, "It's very important to practice," you can say, "Practice plays a vital role. Regular practice is essential. Consistent practice is the key to progress." Each sentence has the same meaning, but the structure and vocabulary change. Let's shadow these together. Repeat after me slowly. Practice plays a vital role. Regular practice is essential. Consistent practice is the key to progress. Excellent. This flexibility is a strong sign that you are moving closer to C1 fluency. Now, let's look at inversion for emphasis. Inversion means changing the normal word order to make a sentence stronger. This is very common in advanced English. For example, never have I seen such a beautiful sunset. Rarely do we get the chance to experience something like that. Only after studying every day did I feel more confident. These structures sound natural at higher levels and add power to your speech. Repeat after me. Never have I seen such a beautiful sunset. Rarely do we get the chance to experience something like that. Only after studying every day did I feel more confident. Excellent. These structures make your English sound more polished, dramatic, and native-like. At the C1 level, using advanced conditionals is also very important. Instead of only simple conditionals, you can use mixed conditionals to show deeper meaning. For example, if I had studied harder, I would be more confident now. If she had left earlier, she might have caught the train. These sentences mix past actions with present or future results. Let's practice slowly. Repeat after me. If I had studied harder, I would be more confident now. If she had left earlier, she might have caught the train. Great. Now create your own sentence in your mind and say it out loud. The more you practice, the more natural these forms become. Finally, let's focus on cleft sentences for emphasis. These help you focus attention on the most important part of a sentence. Instead of saying, "I liked the movie," you can say, "What I really liked was the movie." Instead of, "She helped me the most," you can say, "It was she who helped me the most." Let's shadow them together. Repeat after me. What I really liked was the movie. It was she who helped me the most. What I need right now is a break. Excellent. These structures help your English sound clear, confident, and truly advanced. It was the teacher who encouraged me to continue. Excellent. Notice how this kind of sentence clearly highlights the most important part of the message. This is exactly the kind of flexibility advanced learners need in order to express ideas with clarity and impact. Now, let's bring this section to a close with a full practice story that combines persuasion, speculation, inversion, and emphasis. Listen carefully and repeat after me slowly. Never have I felt such excitement as when I finally reached my English goals. What I realized was that consistent practice every day truly makes a difference. If I had given up earlier, I would not be speaking fluently now. There are several reasons why practice works so well. It builds confidence, improves accuracy, and creates strong habits. Only after months of daily training did I understand how powerful these small steps really were. At the end of the day, fluency is not about talent. It is about persistence. Excellent. This kind of storytelling clearly shows C1 level mastery. It sounds confident, reflective, and well-structured. At the C1 level, one of the strongest features of your English is your ability to add nuance when you agree or disagree with someone. Instead of always saying, "I agree" or "I disagree," you can show different levels of agreement. For example, you can say, "I agree with you to a large extent. I agree with you in principle, but I can see where you're coming from. However, I see it differently. These expressions help you take part in discussions with more depth and maturity, especially in academic or professional situations. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. I agree with you to a large extent. I agree with you in principle, but I can see where you're coming from. However, I see it differently. Very good. Notice how these phrases make you sound thoughtful and respectful, not simply positive or negative. Another area where C1 learners really stand out is in talking about abstract topics. At this level, you don't only describe daily actions. You can also discuss ideas like success, happiness, freedom, technology, or education in a deeper way. For example, instead of saying, "Success is important," you can say, "Success is often measured in terms of money and status. However, in my opinion, true success lies in personal growth and happiness." This longer version shows your ability to explain, expand, and support your ideas clearly. That is exactly what advanced communication requires. Let's shadow this together. Repeat after me. Success is often measured in terms of money and status, but in my opinion, true success lies in personal growth and happiness. Excellent. Now think about a big topic such as education or technology and try to explain your opinion using 2 or 3 sentences instead of 1. This is how your English moves from B2 to C1. Another important feature of advanced English is describing situations precisely using stronger adjectives and adverbs. For example, instead of "he spoke loudly," say "he spoke assertively." Instead of "she answered quickly," say "she answered promptly." Instead of "they worked hard," say "they worked diligently." Each of these words adds detail and paints a clearer picture in the listener's mind. Practice with me. Repeat after me. He spoke assertively. She answered promptly. They worked diligently. Very good. These words feel more exact and professional than simple alternatives. When you master this kind of vocabulary, you begin to sound like someone with real control over the language. At the C1 level, you also need to express balance and contrast smoothly. This means showing more than one side of an idea. For example, on the one hand, learning vocabulary is time-consuming. On the other hand, it is essential for fluency. Or, while technology connects us, it can also isolate us. These structures are very useful when discussing complex topics and showing critical thinking. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. On the one hand, learning vocabulary is time-consuming. On the other hand, it is essential for fluency. While technology connects us, it can also isolate us. Excellent. Next time you talk about an issue or topic, try to include both sides in your response. This habit will immediately make your English sound more advanced, thoughtful, and reflective. Another very important skill at the advanced level is your ability to use softening language politely. This means expressing disagreement or giving advice in a gentle and respectful way. Instead of saying something very direct like, "You are wrong," you can soften your message by saying, "I'm not entirely convinced by that argument." Instead of telling someone, "You need to do this," you could say, "You might want to consider doing this." These small changes may seem simple, but they make a huge difference. They help your communication sound smoother, more respectful, and more professional. This is a very clear sign of advanced fluency. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. I'm not entirely convinced by that argument. You might want to consider doing this. It seems to me that there could be another way. Perfect. Try to use one of these expressions the next time you give advice or respond to someone you disagree with. Over time, this habit will make your English sound more confident and mature. Now, let's move on to advanced storytelling. Imagine you are telling a story about a challenge you faced in your life or at work. At a basic level, you might say, "I had a problem at work. I solved it." But at the C1 level, you can expand the story and add emotion, structure, and reflection. For example, not long ago, I faced a significant challenge at work when our project was delayed. At first, I felt frustrated and stressed. However, I reminded myself that setbacks are part of the learning process. Consequently, I reorganized my schedule, delegated tasks more effectively, and stayed focused. In the end, the project was completed successfully. The experience taught me resilience and time management, skills I now value greatly. Let's shadow this story together. Repeat after me slowly. Not long ago, I faced a significant challenge at work when our project was delayed. At first, I was frustrated. However, I reminded myself that setbacks are part of the learning process. Consequently, I reorganized my schedule, delegated tasks more effectively, and in the end, the project was completed successfully. The experience taught me resilience and time management, skills I now value greatly. Excellent. This is exactly the kind of story you should practice regularly if you want to speak like a C1 level learner. Now, let's end this section with a powerful practice paragraph that includes advanced connectors, emotions, and nuanced opinions. Listen carefully and repeat after me slowly. In today's world, it is undeniable that learning English is a crucial skill. While it can sometimes feel overwhelming, the long-term benefits are enormous. On the one hand, it requires daily effort and discipline. On the other hand, it opens doors to education, career opportunities, and international friendships. From my perspective, it's not only about vocabulary or grammar, but about the confidence to express who you truly are. At the end of the day, fluency is not about perfection. It's about communication, connection, and growth. Excellent. That is exactly how advanced fluency feels: rich, expressive, and human. At the C1 level, one of the most noticeable skills is your ability to explain cause and effect with more subtlety. Instead of always using because, you can stretch your language with expressions such as given that, owing to the fact that, in light of, or considering that. For example, the meeting was canceled owing to the fact that the storm made travel impossible. In light of the new regulations, the company had to change its strategy. Considering that she was ill, it was understandable that she stayed home. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. The meeting was canceled owing to the fact that the storm made travel impossible. In light of the new regulations, the company had to change its strategy. Considering that she was ill, it was understandable that she stayed home. Excellent. These structures are extremely useful for essays, debates, and formal conversations. Another advanced skill is using emphasis to highlight what really matters. Instead of simply saying it's important, you can use stronger structures like what is essential is, the key point is, or the most striking thing is. Repeat after me. What is essential is that we practice every day. The key point is that fluency takes time. The most striking thing is how quickly your English improves when you practice consistently. Perfect. These sentences give weight to your ideas and make you sound more persuasive and thoughtful. We should also focus on advanced linking phrases that create smooth flow. Instead of only using and or but, try expressions like in addition to that, what's more, on top of that, over and above that, and furthermore. For example, instead of saying, I went to Rome, I saw the Colosseum, I ate pizza, you could say, I went to Rome, and in addition to that, I had the chance to see the Colosseum, which was breathtaking. What's more, the pizza I ate there was some of the best I've ever tasted. Furthermore, I met new friends who made the trip unforgettable. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. In addition to that, I had the chance to see the Colosseum. What's more, the pizza I ate there was some of the best I've ever tasted. Furthermore, I met new friends who made the trip unforgettable. Excellent. Do you hear how these transitions make your story flow more naturally and sound more advanced? Another hallmark of C1 fluency is being able to make concessions in your speech, and that's what we'll practice next. Concessions mean admitting one side of an argument while still keeping your main opinion. This is a very important skill at the advanced level. Instead of saying something very direct like, "I disagree," you can sound more diplomatic and confident by saying, "While I see your point, I still believe that," or "although that's true to some extent, I would argue that." These expressions show that you are listening, thinking carefully, and responding respectfully. They're extremely useful in exams, discussions, meetings, and professional conversations. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. While I see your point, I still believe that practice is essential. Although that's true to some extent, I would argue that vocabulary must also be a priority. Great. Sentences like these immediately make you sound more mature, thoughtful, and advanced. At the C1 level, descriptive precision also becomes very important. This means choosing words that describe people more accurately instead of using very basic adjectives. For example, instead of just saying "he's nice," you could say, "He's considerate. He's compassionate. He's approachable. He's charismatic." Instead of saying "she's smart," you could say, "She's insightful. She's innovative. She's perceptive." These words help you describe personalities with more detail and clarity. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. He's considerate. He's compassionate. She's perceptive. She's innovative. Very good. Now think about a friend, a teacher, or a colleague in your life. Try to describe them using one advanced adjective instead of a simple one. This personal connection helps vocabulary stay in your memory much longer. Now let's focus on advanced adverbs because they bring sentences to life. Instead of only describing what happened, they show how it happened and sometimes even the feeling behind it. Instead of saying "she answered quickly," you can say "she answered promptly." Instead of "he worked hard," you can say "he worked tirelessly." Instead of "they reacted slowly," you can say "they reacted reluctantly." These adverbs add emotion and detail, which is exactly what advanced English needs. Practice with me. Repeat after me. She answered promptly. He worked tirelessly. They reacted reluctantly. Excellent. Using adverbs like these will make your speaking and storytelling more vivid and powerful. Now, let's combine everything into a longer storytelling practice passage. Listen carefully and repeat after me slowly. Although I was reluctant to join the meeting at first, I eventually agreed, considering that my team needed my support. What was essential was not just my presence, but my active contribution. In light of the tight deadlines, we worked tirelessly to complete the project on time. Furthermore, each team member showed remarkable dedication. On top of that, our manager was considerate and gave us encouragement throughout. At the end of the day, although the task was exhausting, the results were truly rewarding. Excellent. This is how your storytelling becomes richer and more advanced with practice. At the C1 level, another powerful skill is precision when expressing likes and dislikes. Instead of always saying "I like it," you can say, "I genuinely admire it. I deeply appreciate it. I'm particularly fond of it." Instead of "I don't like it," you can say, "I find it unappealing. It doesn't resonate with me. I'm not especially enthusiastic about it." These expressions add subtlety and prevent your English from sounding repetitive or too simple. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. I genuinely admire it. I deeply appreciate it. I'm particularly fond of it. I find it unappealing. It doesn't resonate with me. I'm not especially enthusiastic about it. Excellent. Now think of a movie, song, or book you experienced recently. Try to describe your feelings using one of these expressions instead of simply saying "I liked it" or "I didn't like it." Another important mark of C1 fluency is the ability to express uncertainty with nuance. Instead of just saying, "I don't know," you can say, "I'm not entirely certain. It remains unclear. The answer escapes me for now. I can't say with confidence." These phrases sound polite, professional, and thoughtful. Let's practice. Repeat after me. I'm not entirely certain. It remains unclear. The answer escapes me for now. I can't say with confidence. Perfect. These expressions are especially useful in classrooms, meetings, and discussions. Finally, at this level, you should also improve how you express cause and effect. Instead of only using "so," you can use more advanced connectors such as a consequence, as a result, thereby, accordingly. For example, she studied hard, thereby improving her chances of success. The company invested in training, and accordingly, employee performance increased. Using these connectors makes your English sound more logical, structured, and advanced. These expressions are very common in academic writing, but they are also natural and useful in professional discussions. When you use them, your English immediately sounds more polished and confident. Let's practice together. Repeat after me slowly. She studied hard, thereby improving her chances of success. The company invested in training, and accordingly, employee performance increased. As a result of the changes, customers felt more satisfied. Excellent. Using phrases like these adds sophistication to your English without making it sound unnatural. Another important skill at the C1 level is the ability to evaluate ideas using balanced language. Instead of saying something very simple like, "That's good," you can use more thoughtful expressions. For example, you can say, "That's a valid point. That's a reasonable observation. That's a well-founded argument." And instead of saying, "That's bad," you can say, "That's questionable. That's debatable. That's not entirely convincing." These phrases show critical thinking, which is essential in advanced conversations. Let's practice. Repeat after me. That's a valid point. That's a reasonable observation. That's a well-founded argument. That's questionable. That's debatable. That's not entirely convincing. Great. Imagine using these in a classroom discussion, a meeting, or a debate. They help you sound polite, intelligent, and confident while clearly expressing your opinion. Now let's move to advanced storytelling techniques. Instead of always starting sentences with "then" or "after that," you can use words like subsequently, eventually, in the aftermath, ultimately. These words help you organize stories more smoothly and clearly. For example, the team worked day and night. Subsequently, they completed the project ahead of schedule. He faced many obstacles, but ultimately, he achieved his goal. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. Subsequently, they completed the project ahead of schedule. In the aftermath of the crisis, people came together to support each other. Eventually, everything worked out. Ultimately, he achieved his goal. Excellent. Using these words in your daily storytelling will instantly make your English sound more advanced. At the C1 level, it's also important to master expressions of contrast using concession clauses. These allow you to show two opposite ideas smoothly in one sentence. For example, although it was difficult, we managed to succeed. Even though I was tired, I kept going. Despite the challenges, we completed the work. In spite of his lack of experience, he performed well. These structures are very common in academic writing, professional speech, and advanced everyday conversation. Let's practice. Repeat after me slowly. Although it was difficult, we managed to succeed. Even though I was tired, I kept going. Despite the challenges, we completed the work. In spite of his lack of experience, he performed well. Wonderful. You're building strong, flexible sentence structures. Now let's bring everything together in a longer practice story. Listen carefully and repeat after me slowly. Although the situation was uncertain, the team worked diligently to find solutions. In the aftermath of the first setback, they reorganized their approach. Subsequently, new strategies were applied, and as a result, performance improved significantly. While it remained unclear at first whether the project would succeed, it ultimately exceeded expectations. What impressed me most was not just the outcome, but the resilience everyone showed throughout. At the end of the day, it was a clear reminder that persistence, even in the face of challenges, leads to meaningful progress. Excellent. This is how advanced connectors, vocabulary, and nuance come together in one fluent passage. At the C1 level, fluency also means handling future speculation naturally. Instead of simply saying, "Maybe it will happen," you can say, "It's quite possible that it will happen. There's every likelihood that it will take place. It seems probable that it will occur. Let's practice together." Repeat after me. It's quite possible that it will happen. There's every likelihood that it will take place. It seems probable that it will occur. Excellent. These expressions sound confident and professional, which is exactly what you want at an advanced level. Another skill that makes you stand out is the ability to describe trends and changes clearly. Instead of saying "it's getting better" or "it's getting worse," you can say, "It is on the rise. It is in decline. It has been steadily improving. It has been gradually deteriorating." Let's practice. The use of renewable energy is on the rise. Traditional bookstores are in decline. My English has been steadily improving since I started daily practice. The situation has been gradually deteriorating over the past few months. Excellent. These phrases add depth and seriousness to discussions and essays. Now let's strengthen your use of advanced condition structures. Instead of always using "if," you can say, "provided that," as long as on condition that supposing that. For example, you can succeed provided that you work consistently. I'll join you on condition that we finish early. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. You can succeed provided that you work consistently. I'll join you on condition that we finish early. Supposing that it rains tomorrow, what will we do? Very good. These small changes elevate your grammar and show real C1 control. Now, let's finish with a final storytelling passage that brings everything together. Repeat after me slowly. Supposing that we never practice daily, our progress would be slow and frustrating. On the other hand, provided that we commit to even a small amount of English every day, the results can be astonishing. My own experience has shown that vocabulary builds steadily and grammar becomes clearer with constant use. In light of this, I firmly believe that fluency is within everyone's reach, as long as persistence becomes a habit. Excellent. That is advanced fluency in action. Before we finish, remember this. C1 fluency is not built in one day. It is built step by step, word by word, sentence by sentence. Every time you practice, repeat, and challenge yourself to replace a simple phrase with a more advanced one, you move closer to your goal. You already have the ability. What you need now is consistency and confidence. Keep practicing. Keep believing in yourself. Every single word you learn brings you one step closer to mastery.